everyone, it's Emily. Welcome back on my channel. Today's video is gonna be just a ridiculous book haul. I have been accumulating books since like April, since my birthday, so I have accumulated a lot of books. The only book haul I've done in the last 3 months was that one that I went to library sale in April, and I've went back ever since. So, I mean, there's a ridiculous amount of books. There's some unboxings from BookOutlet, so let's just jump right into it. So don't forget to grab a snack and something to drink because we're going to be here for a while. As always, most of these books are used, but I do have a couple new ones that were gifted to me for my birthday, or that I've used gift cards because it's the best gift ever. The first book I was given is It by Stephen King. I've been like asked so many times to read it. There's the movie coming out later this year and people wanted to talk about it with me, and I have been like dreading to read it because how big is it? It is a nice floppy big paperback. But oh my god, this is so big. There's like there's over 1.1k pages. So, I mean, I don't know when I'm gonna read this, but I definitely want to read it. It's supposed to be creepy. I know it's about clowns. I don't know more than this, don't want to know more than this, but I definitely need to read it before watching the new movie coming out. But, I mean, I'm currently in a reading slump, so I'm hoping that like these books or some of them will help me. And I don't know if this is like the best thing to do to myself right now. Next, I got All Are Wrong Todays by Ellen Mastey? I'm not sure. But this is what the cover looks like. I've been in a huge like sci-fi mood, and this is a time travel type of book. You follow a main character who lives in 2016, but from how people imagined it in like the 1950s. So it's like cars flying and everything, and one day he is heartbroken and decided to use a time machine, and he ends up in our 2016. So that sounded pretty interesting, so I can't wait to get to read this one. Next, another sci-fi. This one is a YA. It is We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. The main character is going through a lot in his life, and he's also being abducted once in a while by aliens. That sounded pretty cool. I've heard a lot of great reviews about this book, so I can't wait to get to it. More sci-fi. This one I don't know anything about, but I know that everyone says that it's absolutely amazing. It is Hyperion. Everyone says that like if you're into sci-fi, you absolutely need to read this book, so I definitely wanted to pick it up. Hopefully I will have a chance to get to it, but basically classic sci-fi. I've heard amazing reviews about this one. This is Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Abertelli, and this one I got used. It's a little damaged, but I mean, I couldn't resist when I saw it because it was my library sale, so everything is super affordable. In this book, you're following Simon, who is not out yet, but he's currently having a relationship with someone online. Someone is telling him that he's gonna tell other people. Apparently, this is a very quick YA read, and hopefully that should help me with the reading slump, because those type of books, contemporary, like light, quick reads, usually help. This one I don't know much about because thrillers, there's nothing worse than knowing what it's about, and it is We Are Liars by E. Lockhart, and I know people either absolutely love it or are just very disappointed with it. We'll see. I've been like hoarding all the thriller, mystery, horror books I can find because we're going towards fall. Well, I mean, summer is not even started, but you know what I mean. I've been like hoarding them because I like starting reading them towards the end of the summer, and this one was there. It was cheap and it's super small. There's only like 200 and something pages, so that should be a pretty quick read. This one I bought new, and then I realized my mistake. This is A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chamber. Basically, the number 2, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, and then, can you see this? This is gonna annoy me so bad. I don't know. I mean, I can probably just not put them next to each other, but that's probably not gonna make me feel better. But basically this is the second book in this series. It's a very character-driven sci-fi, and I surprisingly really enjoyed the first one. I mean, the reviews are really good, so I shouldn't be surprised, but I mean, character-driven books can be like hit or miss depending, but this one was definitely great, so I got the second one because I want to continue. I read the first book in this series, and everyone has been telling me that I need to continue even if I didn't enjoy the first one, because apparently the second one is so much better. We shall see, because I made you vote in my June TBR, and everyone voted for me to read this. So I will have to continue this series. This is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. This apparently will change my mind about the first one, so I'm definitely hoping it does. It's definitely a pretty thick YA book. This one is basically, like people were saying, it's like almost a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but with Fae instead of like the Beast. Which, I mean, the first one kind of had that, and I didn't really love like the romance slash the sex scene in the first book, and apparently it's still gonna be bad in there, but the rest is supposed to be better. Again, we'll see, but this is a very popular YA book, so I mean, it's probably more new adult than YA, but we'll get to it eventually. Actually, I have to read it this month. Shoot. I'll get to it this month. Last year, one of my favorite book of the year was Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and obviously I just have the cover because I let someone read it, but I absolutely love this book. And he also has another series. This is the first one. It's called Pines by Blake Crouch, and I believe this is a kind of thriller, mystery, dark-ish book, so I wanted to continue reading more from him because I did enjoy this one, so I got the first one. Next book is a historical fiction, which I feel like I buy more than I end up reading, but this one was definitely intriguing. This is Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Grodin? I'm not sure, but it's basically a young girl participates into a race because she wants to get a chance to meet Hitler and kill him. So I mean, that sounds like a pretty interesting historical fiction. Apparently it's pretty fast paced, it's interesting. It's not super long. It's like, oh my god, it's much longer than I thought it would be. Like, it looks surprisingly short, but there's almost 400 pages, but it's YA, so it's like written pretty big. So that should be a pretty quick and fun read, hopefully. I've been trying to read all Brandon Sanderson's books, so I have been collecting them. And the next one I want to read is this one. This is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. I believe this book was a standalone, and now there's going to be a couple more books, so it probably stands on its own well, I think. Brandon Sanderson, if you don't know, he is amazing with world building, and just the magic systems that he comes up with are always amazing, so cannot wait to read this. They're always pretty big, but I mean, I know I'm not going to be disappointed. Also from Brandon Sanderson, I got the Arcanum Unbounded. This is basically a collection of short story from all that same universe. I know that some of them I can't read yet because they're part of like the other books that I haven't read, so I'll have to pick and choose which ones I read, but I can't wait to read more. By the way, I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, but I have those marks on my arm. Doing thumbnails with books is dangerous. Also, I got this book. This is What If by Randall Munro. This is basically a book about serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions. And it just, like, that's basically a summary of what the book is. It's funny. I feel like you can just read one or two once in a while, or you can just devour the whole thing. But I already started reading them, and it's just super funny. It's interesting. I like it. Like, I mean, let me just read you, like, the question to give you an idea what it's about. That one's already on the internet, so it's, like, not really a spoiler. What would happen if you tried to hit a baseball pitched at 90% the speed of light? The answer? Boom. More sci-fi books. I got Snow Crash by Neil Stevenson, and I didn't know what this book was about, and I've been, like I said, in a reading slump, so I started reading it. I read, like, the first 20 pages, and so far, it seems to be, like, a alternate universe, and like a really dangerous job that the main character does is delivering pizza. I'm so confused. It's apparently really good, the reviews are really good, but so far, super confused. Next is a nonfiction book. I've been wanting to read some once in a while, and something that has been recommended to me is this one. It's So You've Been Publicly Shamed by Jon Ronson. And if I'm not wrong, it's just about like people that have been like publicly shamed on the internet, so that sounded very interesting. I also got Leviathan Wakes by James Corey. Again, another sci-fi book, but this is a series that is super popular. I believe the 6th book just came out or something. So it's like a very long series, but I mean, if there's 6 books, you can start reading it. You know, I like to just start series whenever they're like done or almost done, but 6 books, I should be okay. But it is a giant floppy paperback, which again, makes me very happy, but I don't know anything except that it's hard sci-fi, so it's like in space, clearly, but the reviews are really, really good, so I can't wait to get to it. Next, I have some boxes to open. I was contacted by BookOutlet, and they asked me if I wanted to become their new... I was contacted by BookOutlet, and they asked me if I wanted to become their new vlogger friend, which obviously... I buy so many books from their websites, but I will now have a page, so I will link that down below. You can click on it, and there's all the books that I purchased this month. So let's go through them. Just before that, they actually sent me 3 books as a gift, so thank you, BookOutlet. The first one is The Queen of the Tearling by Erika Johansson. I actually have this already. You can't see it, it's behind those books. So I will be gifting this to a friend, but I've been meaning to read this YA fantasy series because everyone says it's absolutely awesome. All I know is that it's a young queen that is learning to be a queen. Apparently it's really good. The next one is The Geek Feminist Revolution by Cameron Early. I don't know much about this, but the cover has been like catching my eye for a while, and is that the llama? Like, does that not make you want to own this book? Plus, the spine is red. I believe this is a non-fiction book with feminist essays. And then last but not least, they sent me The Goldfinch by Dana Tartt, and it's a big giant floppy paperback because they know I love them. I've been meaning to read this book for a while, but I mean, the size of it, there's like 750 plus pages. I've been intimidated by big books. I literally need to do that tag. I know a lot of people have been reading this, and even though the beginning can be a little like slow to get into it, they always say it's worth it. So now let's open the boxes because I've been waiting for like 2 months to open them. Okay. When I saw this book, I knew I needed to read it. This is basically like a short story. This is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I watched the movie, but I didn't know it was a book until then, and I'm super curious. It's super short. There's like literally like 50 pages, but I mean, I haven't watched a movie in a long time, and every time I realize like a movie that I really love was a book, I need to go back and read it. So the next book a few months ago was like everywhere on BookTube, and YA fantasy book that everyone is crazy about on BookTube. Sometimes I'm like, let me read it so I can actually decide what I think about it, and it is Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This is about a young girl that is sent to an assassin school or something. The reviews have been pretty mixed, but I mean, I'm here for that. I read the books and I let you know if I think they are worth the read. I was saying how I've been accumulating thriller for the fall, and I've been meaning to read this one. This is In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I don't know much because I like to go into thrillers knowing as little as possible, so I really like the cover, by the way, this one. Definitely a nice cover. Another YA, I think this one is contemporary. I might be wrong. This is The Serpent King by Jeff Zentner, and I've heard a lot of people say that this was a fantastic book, but again, I don't know much about it. I feel like whenever something just came out, I'd never know what it's about. I just know that everyone seemed to be talking about it, so I grabbed it. I've been meaning to read more classics, even though I haven't read that many so far this year. I mean, actually, that's not true. Earlier this year, I read a couple and then kind of stopped. So I grabbed this one. This is Notes from Underground and the Double by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I mean, that edition was calling my name. If you have read anything that he has written, let me know if that's like a good way to start, because I do have a couple of his other books, but I feel like maybe like shorter stories might be easier for me to start. And then last but not least from that first box is The Emperor of All Maladies. Another horror book for the fall, and it is, do you just pronounce each letter for this book? I don't know, but it is by Joe Hill, and if you don't know, he's the son of Stephen King, and everyone has been raving about his books, and I've been like hoarding them. I haven't read one yet. It needs to happen, but I've been like keeping them all for fall, and now I'm realizing that I might have too many thrillers to read in like the 2 months that I'm really in that mood, so I need to start early this year. Then I grabbed this nonfiction. This is A Short Story of Nearly Everything by Bill Bryson. I think the title is pretty much self-explanatory. Next is the first book of a fantasy series that I've heard great things about, 3 Parts Dead by Max Gladstone. This one I don't know anything about. I believe like from the back it says that like a god dies and it's the job of the main character to just bring him back. Then I grabbed Jumper by Steve Gold, and I don't know if this is related to the movie or not. I think it might be, and I did like the movie. It's just a young boy that discovers that he has the power to just teleport, so I mean, I've been in the sci-fi mood, so why not? I'm realizing that I went overboard, but this is like not something I bought all in one day. I told you, like, it's 3 months of books. But I'm not gonna need a lot of book this summer. I also grabbed this book by Ursula K. Le Guin. I love her writing. She writes a lot of like sci-fi books, and this one is called Dispossessed, which, oops, stupid light. Here you go. I don't know much about this one, but I know, again, sci-fi, adult, and the reviews were really good. A lot of people are gonna be really, really happy to see the next 2 books. Are you ready? Yeah. I finally got Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, and then Crooked Kingdom, which is the second book in this duology. And unfortunately, one is paperback, one is hardcover, but I couldn't turn down the red page edition, so I just grabbed both. I know everyone raves about this YA fantasy series, but I want to read the Grisha trilogy before because they are in the same universe and it happens, I believe, before. So after I'm done with that trilogy, I will definitely be reading these ones. Not too long ago, I read The First 15 Lives of Ari August by Claire North, and then I started the book that she wrote on BookOutlet, so I knew I needed to grab it. This is called Touched, and she always has like really intriguing plots, and I believe this one, the main character, she's about to get killed and she touched someone and she switched in his body. I want to read this. Then I got A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, which is supposed to be like a horror, like psychological thriller. And then last but not least, I got Outliers, A Story of Success by Malcolm Gladwell. This is a nonfiction book that I've been recommended. So that's it, guys. Those are all the books that I have been accumulating in the last 3 months. So let me know in the comments which one I should read like right now, because I've been in such a reading slump. So any suggestion is very welcome. So this is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.